I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my number, so call me maybe.
Oh, because it's a pub crawl. I just got that. 90 Day Fiance does a better job.
I don't even try. Are you just so dense to any kind of puns and names?
I have a lot going on.
But when you're reading it, do you not go, crawl me maybe? What does that mean? Do you not have any reflection at all?
I've never been on a pub crawl.
You get wasted. I mean, it is
so many of those in college when you went to school in Baton Rouge.
I didn't do that many. You get really wasted. The best way to have fun in them is you have to chase. It's Carl's sobriety method. You chase every drink with water. That's the only way to do it. Then you can kind of stay around a little bit longer. You still will burn out after like hour 3, hour 4.
Boy, I'm older because
you get really wasted.
I'm older now because that sounds horrible.
Oh, I couldn't do that right now. If I go to a second location, I'm going to probably go home in like 30 minutes. Yeah.
I actually think you're probably going to tell people you're going to the second location and then you'll just go home.
Accurate. That's exactly what I would do. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got it. My grinder hookup goes, and I'm like, yeah, sorry guys, I'm going to go home.
I'm such a grandpa that I once was out with my friend. This was in my 30s. And they were like, come out. And they wanted to do shots and they wanted to keep going more and more. And they kept giving me shots. But after 30, I told myself, I'm too old for shots. I don't want to do it. And so I was dumping them either in a plant or I was giving to this drunk guy behind me.
You were giving shots away?
Yes, I'm not going to drink it.
How about instead of peer pressure, you say, no, you actually be serious with your friends?
I did. I said, no, I don't want any.
Then that means you need to re-examine how you talk to your friends.
But they're drunk.
They're still buying stuff.
But they're drunk. You sometimes can't reason with drunk. They're like, take it. So I'm like, sure, it's your money. So I'm giving him shots. He ended up, I saw like 5 minutes later, I went to the bathroom. He was giving a blowjob in the bathroom. This was in trunks.
To a drunk guy?
Yeah. And so I went, look what I did. I'm like an angel. I gave him a gift. And then I finally told my friends, they're like, let's go to another bar. And I said, okay, I'll meet you there. And I texted them and told them, oh my God, I just hooked up with this guy in his car. I'm going to go to his house. And I just told them a lie so I could go home and go to bed.
To me, I know that seems like much more of a you thing, not trying to either hurt people's feelings or not trying to argue with people. I would just say, listen, I'm just not interested in doing this.
I did.
But I think that's you in your 30s. Now you would just say, no, I'm going home.
That's probably true, yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all, this is Summer
You don't
House.
have the Please Like Me gene as much as you used to.
It's much better, much better.
Yeah. Speaking of Please Like Me, we're going to talk about Luke later.
Whoa, y'all, season 5, episode 8. Crawl me, maybe.
Crawl me, maybe. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think that's one of the greatest pop songs ever written. I can't stop singing it.
It's a great pop song.
She has so many of those. Carly Rae Jepsen. I think she's severely underrated.
I don't know what her other songs are.
Oh, they're all things like, they're all kind of like weird titles. They're so good. Now I can't come up with any of them. I have like a whole playlist of Carly Rae Jepsen.
What is happening? I've corrected you. I gave you a name. This is what happens when Poodle moves. He becomes Maddie and can't remember anything.
My head is I'm being pulled in so many directions. I'm in my emotions. I'm like taking every knick-knack and trying to decide if I want it. And I have a story with everyone. And I remember the person who gave it to me. And like 2 or 3 of the people have died. And so
that's why I need to be there to tell you they're gone, move on. They don't like you anymore. You broke up with them.
It is basically
away.
a Merchant Ivory film over here. Just me gazing out of my apartment, longing looks, quiet drawing rooms.
I'm going to take care of that next week when I come.
No, leave me alone.
Which, by the way, y'all, that reminds me, any announcements that we have is, one, I unpaused my cameo. So now I'm going to be doing cameos. And I think I've got to decide, but I'll let y'all know on the 90-day show because you've been asking. I'll do a drunk cameo night this week because, honestly, I could use a drink. So I'll let you know when that's happening. Yeah, Poodle too. Also, y'all, we want to remind people that Summer House is not on because it's not kind of in the 90-day. It's not on our Patreon.
You mean for ad free?
It's not on our Reality Gaze extra feeds at the $8 tier. To be honest, y'all, we don't know if we're going to do next season because this season has been great. And so we kind of right now we're just keeping that more toward 90-day stuff. So
I honestly feel really terrible because I was sold such a shitty bill of goods for this show. Because I binged season 4 and I absolutely loved it. And I went back and watched season 3. And so I kind of said, oh, this show would be great for us. Then they give us a COVID season, which feels
this episode was good, though, I will say.
Yeah, this has been one of the more exciting ones. I don't know if I would say good.
It was exciting. That's a better word for it. So,
but yeah, they're giving us this kind of weird cinema verite, direct look into their lives, and I've decided I never want to know more about these.
I never want to know more. So that said, if you are like, what is Maddie talking about, y'all? We want to remind you that if you are on the Patreon or on the Supercast, at the $8 tier, you get all of our shows. You get all the 90-day free feeds. So Single Life. And regular 90-day, you get that all in one feed. What is it?
Ad free.
Ad free for your pleasure.
Ad free for your pleasure.
For your pleasure. So if that's a thing for you and you hate listening to commercials, that's something you would want to think about. We're also
even though we work hard on our ads.
We do. I really enjoy them. And we're going to be doing our YouTube live this Sunday, as long as my flight lands on time. So
it might just be me folding my laundry.
Y'all, it's going to happen either way.
Showing off my shoulders. Showing off my shoulders. Y'all, if I have to do it by myself on Sunday, I'm taking my nipple out.
Good for you. That's for our $15 patrons if you want to see Poodle's nipple. So that's that. We're going to be, speaking of Reality Gaze extra content, we're going to be announcing our winners in April for the March Madness Review of Palooza. Thank y'all so much for leaving reviews. And I think, is there any more announcements, Poodle?
I don't think so. I think we about covered it.
Well, let's jump in, Poodle. What is your first teabag?
Yes.
Because y'all, we do this show where we realize it's better for us, instead of like saying, then they did this, then Hannah did this, then Hannah cried, then Hannah yelled, then Hannah cried again, then she yelled a little bit later, and then Paige said something funny. It's just, no. We're doing little like we're hearkening back to our old days of TV.
We're going back to our roots, where we go talk about teabags, because the joke there is you suck on testicles and it's teabagging.
I haven't teabagged somebody in a long time. Oh, wait. Yeah, I have. I think of teabagging not as just sucking. Like if someone's laying down and
putting their balls over your face.
That I haven't done in a long time.
Into a teacup.
Yeah, I haven't done that in a long time.
They're going,
have you?
Whoop, whoop. Oh, yeah. That's like a normal move for me. That's like a football play. That's one of the circles and the arrows. That's one of the poodle moves.
They know it's time when he starts saying, when he puts his hand on his hip and then puts his other arm up like a flamingo head and then sings, I'm a little teapot short and I'm not stout, but here is my handle, here is my ass. Now suck on it. When you flip me over, I pour out. Get out.
You know what? You accurately described kind of what happens.
Tip me over and I say, get out.
There's maybe a football call of 24, 48, 89. Pretty accurate. Yeah, I've kind of got a playbook And that's definitely one of the plays I call.
Great.
Yeah. Not that you asked.
Nope.
Or
so individualize.
My you said you individualize?
I said or not wanting to visualize.
Oh. Too late. My first one is I kind of want to just open a general conversation. Now, you know what? Let's do that at the end.
Okay.
The girls we're still talking about the potential of a Luke Lindsay double L sex encounter. And the girl, because remember, how we know is some psychic who Hannah knows sent her a DM that just came to her, which seems like a very reliable source.
Very reliable.
And I think I've said before, if Hannah's not paying this psychic, that is a bad economic model for a psychic to give things away for.
My psychic, Angela Zane, will not do that.
Well, it's just makes no sense.
It doesn't. It doesn't make sense.
Goods and services, people. Goods and services.
Nothing wrong with it.
So, and I just want to talk about that. This is kind of what happens when they don't have work to do and you're kept together in a cloistered way for so long. Everyone kind of turns into a teenager. Because it kind of feels like summer camp after a while. And both you and I have taught in summer camp, and tiny little issues become huge issues because you're there for like 8 weeks.
And you have nothing. It's kind of what a lot of people have seen on social media, I think, with COVID. We're all sitting at home. We have nothing to do. And so things that normally we don't have time. Y'all, if you get upset about something you see online, ask yourself, would this bother me if I was like out working, taking my kids to soccer and doing all the shit I'm normally doing?
Our worlds get a lot smaller. And things that don't have a big import, we decide we want to fight about things or die on certain hills, and it's just kind of like, ugh. Even this story, and I say it because there's a narrative about Summer House this season that almost can be Hannah's been the problem the whole time, or very anti-Hannah sentiments, and Ciara was Hannah's pawn. That's all over Twitter, and it feels super misogynistic to me. Although I kind of understand what they're saying, and Hannah did bring it up. Where she's like, seems like I'm responsible for everything that's happening in the house that's problematic. And I'm like, I kind of agree. But
I kind of agree.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting because y'all, Luke is awful. He's really awful. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more too. But I just wanted to preface that by saying kind of what's out there.
So what was your teabag?
The girls are talking about Luke and Lindsay having sex. I'm sorry. I was trying to get into something, but I did not want to like go off on a rant. So I wanted to be more of introductory. I realize now that what I just said is all over the place. So yeah, sorry, y'all. I'm just trying to lay out kind of a platform for discussion about how I don't know what I'm saying.
This is, oh my God. Poodle with moving brain. It's ridiculous.
I'm going to have a lot to say about kind of Luke. Basically, I was trying to talk about Luke, how Luke is starting to feel isolated in the house. And that's what precipitated what we see at the end. So I had intentions. I was just trying to, anyway. But I didn't want to say, I'm going to shut up. What's your teabag? Let's just move on.
My teabag is, let's talk about the girls doing their nails
with the animal faces.
And I know we should talk about Lindsay bringing up Carl. I'm sorry, Luke. Lindsay bringing up Luke and defending Luke, and the girls getting all upset about it. But all I really cared about in this conversation is that Lindsay said Carl is good with fingering, and then Paige says he has huge hands and huge feet. it's a no-brainer. And y'all know what that means.
It's huge. It's nice.
It's
huge,
y'all.
I don't think it's honestly, it's not going to like blow your mind. It's sizable though.
How much money would you pay to see Carl's dick?
$100.
$150 easy.
I think you're right. I don't know if
200's a little much.
I don't pay for dick pics, so all of this is just speculative.
Now, $100 for that. $100 for a picture. A video of him beating his meat.
Yeah, I think that's a little priceless. Again, I don't think I don't think I can pay things. These are things like nature. These are things that should be free.
Carl, if you're listening and you ever need $500, you know who to DM.
Yeah, you do. I think, but no, I believe it's like air. You know, like dick vids should be free.
I agree with that.
Like butterflies. Butterflies are free.
I agree. I personally, one day, picklefinder.net should be free for everyone. We should just make the money from ads.
I understand how OnlyFans, because it's their brand, they're wanting to sell sex content and stuff like that. But like, you know, dick pics shouldn't be taken to that level. They should be an easy exchange of ideas and cock pics.
Yes.
Yes.
There we go. But anyway, so yes, I
do also want to follow up with something that Paige said. They were talking about they're painting their nails, and Hannah said, my nana always says that you should never shouldn't paint your nails red. And Paige says, that's because your nana's a whore. And Hannah says, "True, thank you." Because we've seen Hannah's grandmother. We've seen Hannah. I would not call her a whore, but she is a very, very sexual lady of a certain age.
Good for her.
Yeah,
good for her. I mean, y'all, can you imagine what Poodle and I are going to be like when we're old women?
Oh, awful.
I mean, old men.
Mm-hmm. You were right the first time.
Anyway, I mean, I guess we should talk about, since we brought it up, Lindsay really gets on this soapbox of, I've got to defend Luke to all these people.
Where do
you think is coming from for her?
What I brought up earlier that you shamed me for. That there is this general feeling in the house of Luke being isolated, especially by all the girls, and they're almost using him as a whipping boy for everything. However, I think that has merit. However, Hannah kind of started it, and all the girls kind of want to defend Hannah because she has established herself as the victim of Luke's kind of playing with her emotions. And it's not that I don't agree with her there. I just think the girls are there to support. The girls in this house want to support each other above all else, especially the younger girls. Lindsay's kind of out. She's represents a little bit
outlier.
The older generation. If she would fucking wail on me if she ever heard me say that. But all the other younger girls.
Who's older? Who's older? Who's Tracy?
Who's Tracy? I still will say that just occasionally. Who's Tracy?
Who's Tracy?
And I think it's such an interesting. It's interesting to me. It's probably not interesting to anybody else.
It is interesting to me as well because it's. I mean, this was actually kind of bringing up a teabag I had later on, but I will just kind of make sense with this. It did fail. It's not. I feel like the younger women have. Yes, what they're saying is true, and
they will support each other till the end.
You realize you're throwing another woman under the bus based off what a psychic told you,
right?
And trying to shame her and mean girling her.
Well,
they are.
But I think it is. I
There's
agree.
There's a mean girl aspect in that.
There is, and I think because she's in the previous episode, she was kind of cozying up with Luke. So I think now that Lindsay's tainted by Luke, that's when they kind of start to bully her a little bit.
And I do think that it's
all Luke related.
I do think Hannah started this
Yep.
from a little bit of a place of malice
against Luke. I agree with you. And Luke and Hannah did kind of, well, it's interesting because Ciara kind of was brought into this situation as Luke's, this sounds terrible, but kind of like Luke's potential hookup, and that's the way we were sold her. However, she has completely changed that around and become friends with the younger girls in the house.
So let's talk about one of my tea bags and probably yours too. Can we talk about the Ciara Luke conversation? Because I feel like that's a good segue.
That was in the crawl later? Or the one...
Yeah. Or I don't know. What you were talking about Lindsay and Luke, and I thought, well, are Lindsay and Ciara, and they had that conversation, or do you want to talk about that later?
Let's talk about that later.
What's your next tea bag, Queen?
I want to say... but anyway, to follow up on what we were talking about, Lindsay does choose. All the women are saying, "Who would you have a baby with?" These are summer camp. These are summer camp things.
Yeah,
because you get in the world has shrunk so much for these people.
Yeah.
So they say almost all of it's either Kyle or Carl. And because all the younger women have been poisoned against Luke because they think he's a fuckboy, and they're kind of right. And all of these women at one time in their life have been played by fuckboys. So they've kind of watched. Hannah has, like fucking Clarence Darrow, proven her case that Luke is a fuckboy, and all the women say, yes, he is. He is guilty of fuckboyness.
Yes,
and
he is.
Now they're all on team Luke is shitty. And that's a really hard thing to come back from. Even Ciara. And I will say, Ciara is skeptical of Luke now because he yelled at Hannah in that way. And I think Ciara can see his fuckboyness bursting at the seams a little bit. And just to go to one other side topic, when I said before, Luke is please like me. And the way Luke, when he doesn't feel liked, he's acting out. And the way Luke makes or tries to get people to like him is by flirting with girls. That's how he relates to women. It's too smooth.
Yes. And so Lindsay says in that thing that she would have a baby with Luke.
Yes, that was where I was going with it. And all the girls are like, what? And they shade her. They shade her for it, which isn't fair.
It's not fair. It's not fair.
And Lindsay picks this up immediately. And Lindsay, y'all, like Mother Poodle, Lindsay is reactive AF. And
she's reactive, and also she feels like an outlier, and she feels like an outsider in the house. She probably understands how Luke feels more than anyone.
Yeah.
Especially now that Steven is gone.
Yeah.
She's all on her own.
I'm telling you, what happened, it seemed like it came out of nowhere. It seemed perfectly reasonable after I kind of thought about all this.
Oh no, it didn't seem out of nowhere for me. It seemed totally reasonable because none of the younger women like Lindsay.
Nope.
You can tell none of them like her. They don't relate to her. They don't I think they tolerate her.
Yep.
I think probably a lot of them, and I've even said I even remember when we did the Giggly Squad crossover, and they didn't say anything bad about anybody on the show. But I remember saying something like, and I like Lindsay sometimes, or I said something like that. Mm-hmm. And I remember Hannah kind of made a face, but I wanted to, now that I've watched this, I'm like, honey, you will understand Lindsay when you're a 37-year-old woman.
She's 34.
Well, she acts 37. She is 34. But you'll understand her.
If she ever listens to this podcast, she would try to destroy us.
She would go 37! But you'll understand Lindsay more when you're 34.
Who's reality gaze? Who's reality gaze?
So anyway, I think that's just, they're not going to have that now because they're young.
Yeah, it's interesting. And you guys think that mid-20s, late 20s, and 34, 35, 37, that's Kyle. That they're not that far apart. They are miles apart.
Kyle is like we said, he's very sensitive in some ways, which it shows some of his maturity, but in other ways he's kind of a big kid.
Yeah.
Which is why he and Amanda acts older than her age sometimes.
Yeah.
So they kind of meet in that middle plane.
There is a sociological dissertation waiting to be written about this season of The House, how people in their 30s, this type of people behave with people in their 20s.
Yeah.
There's something, because that's what caused all this, you guys. It has to do because Luke is in his 30s, I believe. Right? He seems it.
I don't know how old Luke is.
Even emotionally, though, he's like 20. Who cares? Anyway.
He's 36.
Yeah. So he's definitely the older you got 4 younger women.
God, he's 6'2".
Oh, yeah. Oh, y'all. I said
They're
before.
All tall. Carl's tall, too.
I said before that I think I'd mentioned, I was like, I don't know, Luke's not hot to me. He's fucking hot, y'all. I was wrong. I was completely wrong. All the guys are hot in the house. Even Kyle's kind of hot. Carl's ridiculous, though. What's your next teabag?
Where was it?
This is all over the place.
Okay, my next teabag is the guys. So the guys are the girls are having their party. The guys are having their party. They're
like,
drinking.
Let's take our shirts off.
Carl's gonna drink, y'all. So they say let's take their shirts off. And then
this is like a secret scene that we didn't need to happen.
I was funny. I don't even have to say that my TV went blurry because I kept waiting for
everyone got this secret scene.
Everyone got this secret scene. Kyle is going to pee. Carl is talking about
naked
Kyle's
push-ups.
Dick size. He's talking about his dick size. Yes, he's talking about how Carl wants to do naked push-ups. Luke says he's not comfortable with that. Y'all, that means Luke knows Carl has a bigger dick than him.
Yes.
And so they're playing beer pong. And then when he calls Kyle's dick small while Kyle's peeing, it insinuated that he's comparing it to his own, which is gargantuan.
Oh.
So I was really moved by Carl's dick this episode. It was really on my mind.
It did influence me as well.
You were always on my mind. You were always
in my mouth.
You were always in my butt.
Sorry, Willie Nelson.
Fuck me.
No, don't ruin that
like
song.
A lover in the sea.
That song is so beautiful. Please don't ruin that song for me.
Too late. It's too late.
It's
a beautiful song.
We ruin everything y'all love.
God,
I'm
love
sorry.
Willie Nelson.
So my next one has to do with when they basically Hannah and Amanda are talking to Luke, who's already like sad pandaing, full on like I think he has reasonable emotional intelligence to know. Boy, there are 4 women against him in the house who fucking hate his guts, the younger women.
I don't think he has emotional intelligence.
You don't think he can realize?
No, I think he.
But why is he? You know what? Let me. I understand what you're reacting to. He senses though the mood is shitty against him.
I think he senses it, but he doesn't. I mean, Carl kind of calls it out, but I think he senses it, but he doesn't have the emotional intelligence. Taking responsibility and admitting fault is a big step of emotional intelligence.
I agree. I'm saying
what he doesn't have.
saying he understands all the younger women don't like him. He gets it.
I think he knows. I think understands the word I take issue with. He knows that they all don't like him.
Oh, gotcha.
He doesn't understand it because he doesn't know why.
Right.
He's not digesting it. That he just knows they don't like me. I don't know why. I could not have done anything. I'm right.
Right. I see what you're saying. That's probably a better way to explain it.
But yes, he knows the energy. He's not an idiot, but that's the problem is that he doesn't, it's totally thrown him off because he's not used to having this many women not like him.
Exactly.
Because he's a pretty fuckboy and he always has women probably throwing themselves and gay men throwing themselves at him.
And he can flirt with flirt with women, and they will compete with each other to see who can like him more.
Yes, it's as if I understand what Luke says. I totally think when Luke says that he is not flirting by all the things that they bring up later,
he believes it.
Flirting, he believes it.
Yeah, because that's just him, his MO through life.
That is how he has walked through life. It's someone who has a multitude of white privilege, and they just don't get it. White privilege yet. They just don't get it.
Right.
And then one day, hopefully, they get it. And I don't think Luke gets it.
Are you talking about you're using it as a metaphor?
As a metaphor.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Metaphor.
Got it. Because I was going to say, no, he's white, but he's really, really hot.
No. No. And we don't talk a lot about, I remember Oprah did a show about it. And I remember very few people talk about pretty privilege.
Oh, yeah.
It's like something they don't want to admit. And I remember her saying, which somebody could argue, I know Oprah isn't quote unquote skinny, but Oprah's fucking beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Too. So, but anyway, I remember she had it was a big deal. I think it was Sybil Shepherd, but finally went on the show and talked about pretty privilege and what that is and So, because think about this and think about these pretty gay boys we see in West Hollywood that look like Luke. There's a dime a dozen in West Hollywood that look like that or even prettier. Think of how you see them, you'll go out and you know how we would go out in the bars all the time and we'd see the same people. And now when you go out every now and again, you still see some of those pretty guys and they're not pretty anymore or they're not young and they don't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah, you have to decide who you're going to be at different parts in your life.
Yes, and this is gay people that are not a majority that are already in some ways have to think differently.
Right.
But what is that like for a straight, white, gorgeous man? He's never had to think about this.
No.
Ever.
He's always had kind of an easygoing of it. Now, we don't know what his mental health struggles have been and all of that. But going through life, he has had a quite easy way of it.
Well, in this regard, we know he's talked about alcoholism in his family. And so we don't want to say, we're not saying if you're pretty, your life is easy. We're not saying that at all. We're just saying in this aspect of meeting people, of people seeing, there is an ease that he has.
And there are fewer roadblocks for him to go into things. Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, Amanda and Paige basically kind of say, so what do you, I've noticed some sexual tension with Lindsay. Now, I didn't like this. I didn't like it at all.
It's Mean Girl. I did not like it at all.
And so they basically said, did you ever have sex with Lindsay? And he's like, he was taken aback by this. And he just kind of acts like, it's almost like you'd asked a dog, what's the Pythagorean theorem? And the dog goes, grrr. And the dog basically says, no, can I just have a treat? Can we talk about something else? But he denies, no, I'm not. He's like, I'm not going to say anything. So this either means two things. He's fucked her, A, or B, he doesn't ever want to deny it because the idea that he's some kind of Lothario and he's fucked all these girls is part of his image. Because denying it would also be a problem. Because that's the thing. That's why people are saying, oh, he definitely fucked her because why not just deny it? Because if your image is this guy who could get any girl that he wanted to, that's inside where he is. He'll just never, he's got this fake humility thing that really pisses me off.
Yes.
But that's why he's saying he won't, they might not have fucked. I don't even know. But that's why
he says he doesn't want to answer. And they're like,
he doesn't want to answer. Exactly.
But if you answer, then you would just say no.
Exactly.
So it's, and again, later when they're in when shit's going down, Hannah says, Luke should just shut this down and say he didn't have sleep with her. And I'm like, but didn't he? Because he then doesn't he end up saying that we didn't sleep together? Or I guess that's just Lindsay.
But I think the initial denial is because he doesn't want to leave anything off the table for how the girls think about him. Because in his mind, he could get any girl he wanted, and he doesn't want to deny anything. He wants to be super secretive, or just wants to. I don't know. It's gross. What's your next one?
So they kind of. I want to do let's talk about kind of when Lindsay finds out what's going on.
Okay.
And
do you know who I am?
And I love it when Amanda
activated.
said, I know when Lindsay said, yes, we know who you are, Lindsay Hubbard, sit down. That was great. As Amanda gets older and gets a little more mature, I really do like Amanda.
I think she's my favorite person on the show.
No, Paige for me. Paige all the way.
Oh, yeah. No, but I think Amanda's interesting to me.
Oh.
I think
she's beautiful.
I know Paige is always going to be the funniest, but Amanda is kind of the heart, and also you can see her conflicted at times. She's the most interesting person for me to watch.
She's very interesting.
She's much more interesting when I'd seen her on season 3 and season 4. Now she kind of knows what she wants. She's thinking about her life and her future.
Her life. It's interesting to see her just kind of grow up.
Yep.
And so they're in the pool, and Lindsay comes in, and they basically tell Lindsay, well, did you sleep with Luke? Because that's what a psychic told Hannah. And this is what I didn't like about this at all. Hannah says nothing.
Yeah, she lets the girls
Hannah
do it.
is the one that started this.
Mm-hmm.
Hannah is the one that brought it up, and she just let them all swim in their shit, and she just watched it, and that was gross to me. So
that's for you. That would support this kind of Ciara has become Hannah's pawn argument. It is on the internet.
I do think that Hannah is subconsciously manipulating Ciara to get her on her side. I think Ciara,
I can see
Lindsay,
that.
I do think Hannah is acting out to bring Luke down because she never really got the apology she wanted from him.
100%. I agree with that.
Now, do I think the reasons she's doing it are wrong? No. That's the problem. Everything she's saying is true. Well, except for the psychic thing. But you know what I mean? There's validity to it.
Right.
And it's so she's pointing out truths, but it just feels really I just would have appreciated Hannah way more if she would have said in that pool, yeah, a psychic emailed me, and maybe she said it and they edited it out, so that could have happened. So but yeah, psychic told me and I told Paige, and I think it's true.
Right.
Instead of Hannah did what she did what she knows Amanda will do. She lights the match, and she knows Hannah will take care of the fire.
You're missing out people.
I'm sorry. Hannah lights the match, and she knows Amanda will take care of that fire.
Amanda or Ciara.
Comes in, and then Amanda comes in and is defending her now, and telling Lindsay
that's Amanda's role in the show.
Because that's Amanda's role, and Hannah just sits back and giggles.
Yep. I think that's accurate. It's and I'm not saying when I was talking about this Hannah Ciara
I don't like
thing,
the word pawn because I think Ciara's
that's taking Ciara's agency away.
Yeah, and I don't think Ciara's dumb. I don't think she has. I think Ciara's acting of her own agency.
That is a big topic in recaps and on Reddit.
But I do think it's not that Ciara's a pawn. I think that's what Hannah helped show Ciara the truth and the light, and Ciara is seeing that
the
now.
Light.
I saw the light in your window tonight.
I just want to say, you just said Hannah showed Ciara the truth and the light, and I was like, this is a fucking reality show.
I'm done.
Come
What's
on.
your next one?
Thank you. I just had to say no. So now we can talk about this. Luke sends Ciara a text that says, FYI, the rumors aren't true. And it's kind of like, dude, why are you still texting? And to me, Ciara's basically, this makes her uncomfortable. And it should be a two, and she tries to say, she says, it's too late to text. I don't know what time it is. I don't know what they said. Maybe it was 9 or 10.
It was like after 10. And then that's why she's not a pawn, because this is something totally separate of Hannah. It's between her and Luke. Why I think she's acting accordingly. But
right. So Luke is this whole idea when they have this conversation. I think it is when like Luke tries to talk to Ciara. Are there two moments when they're talking? I can't remember.
I only got the one. I think you were drunk.
No, I'm just because you brought it up really early in the.
Well, no, but it was just connected with something else. But no, there's only one moment that they talk during the pub crawl.
And she says, "Stop texting me." And this is a 2-sentence conversation when she says, "Yeah, I just don't feel uncomfortable with the texts." And when a woman or anyone says, "I feel uncomfortable with this," you don't question their feelings. You say, "Okay, I'm sorry that made you feel bad. So maybe we won't text that late."
Yeah, or even if Luke said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry I made you feel that way. That was not my intention at all."
He's never going to say, "Oh my God, I'm sorry you felt that way."
Even if he said, "That wasn't my intention at all. I didn't mean for that. But yes, I will totally respect your boundary and don't worry about it again."
But then he argued with her about why her feelings were incorrect.
Yep.
That was a mistake. Why
incorrect and why he didn't do anything wrong. And he did something worse. He didn't argue with her. He laughed.
Yeah. I text my niece at 10.
But guess what, Luke? You don't want to eat out your niece.
We don't know his life.
But that's the difference. That is the difference. And so the logic that he uses for that, and so it really just spirals everything from that conversation because Ciara goes back to the pub crawl, and of course she's immediately telling Hannah and Paige about it.
Of course, because they're team anti-Luke, and she needs to kind of celebrate that win for herself.
Yes, and so it just then everyone starts to get involved.
Exactly. Then Luke is chopping wood the next day, which is comical. And because it's not the kind of wood
of him comic. It was really funny.
And then basically, where's this? Oh, I'm trying to read what I'm writing. Oh, I know what it is. We get into the pub crawl. All I could also think about is all of these things they ordered at Amazon went in the trash the next day, and how wasteful that is.
So wasteful.
It just is. It feels like the most awful, conspicuous consumption ever. Maybe that's just my brain during COVID, and maybe I get it was probably an expense for the show, but this shit is just ruining somewhere out on a trash barge now.
Yeah.
Ciara's streamers from ATL, the LA thing that Kyle and Amanda wanted to be, because I think the pub crawl was supposed to be where you're from, and I think Kyle's from New Hampshire or Vermont or something like that. And Amanda, I don't know where she's from, but neither of them are from LA. But they're just we're kind of feeling LA. So, but Carl's from Pennsylvania, so he was Amish. That's my teabag. I've never wanted to fuck an Amish guy so hard.
I've never thought an Amish guy was hot. Oh my God.
That's my next role play costume, y'all.
Oh,
holy shit.
Boy. Holy shit indeed. Holy shit. So yes, so he's chopping wood. It's kind of the next day and they're starting to talk about stuff. When does the Luke and Lindsay conversation happen? Was that the night before?
They leave together. That's after. The reason why we're having problems was this episode was all over the place. That's why I didn't like it. I think Lindsay, by the way, is like an old lady because she's from Florida. Doris and Luke.
I kind of thought her room was my favorite.
Luke and Lindsay leave together, and there's this weird they're kind of playing characters, but some of them aren't. And Lindsay's trying to stay in character, trying to be flirty with Luke, let's fuck as an 80-year-old woman, which is an interesting choice. Yeah. I was uncomfortable with the idea of some of them staying in character longer. I don't know why. They were out of their rooms. It was weird.
You know what? If you were there and Carl was staying in character as an Amish guy, you would be into it.
Yeah, I think that's the double standard there. I think you're right.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. But so Luke and Lindsay have this conversation, and in this, Lindsay kind of jokingly says, maybe we should just have sex and get it over it. But you're kind of like, Lindsay, wrong, too soon. But she does tell Luke, she says, you are naturally a flirt. You flirt with everyone.
Yeah, he can't handle this, and she's nailing it. She's leveling with him.
Yeah, and when she says it out of a place of not malice, of like talking to his friend, he's still, you notice even then he doesn't take it in. He's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, yes, you listen to, if all these people are calling you a lamb, you're a lamb.
Well, I think it has to do with the way he relates to women and gay men and anyone who would be kind of attracted to his beauty. The way he interacts with those people is to make them feel good about themselves by giving as little away of himself as possible.
Oh, because he's scared to be vulnerable for sure.
And just like being casually flirty and casually sweet and not having to be vulnerable makes girls especially think that you like them, because that's how we interact with opposite sexes or same sexes sometimes when we're attracted to them. And when as a guy who's always attractive, that's how he interacts with all women.
I wonder what he felt like watching this, because, you know, on the flip side of that, this is kind of, it's a different subject, but also kind of right after that. That's when we see Carl starts telling in his testimonial, basically saying,
that was me.
Look, that was me. He's a fuckboy.
Yeah, Kyle says the same thing.
Kyle, yes, Kyle says it later too. He's like, I'm 35. I've been playing for, he's like, I got destroyed. My sexuality, my family. He's like, he just needs, I'm not going to be comfortable if Luke's not going to admit that. Yeah. And it's kind of lazy. And he doesn't say this, but he almost acts like he's too old to not know better.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think this whatever Carl is, God, these names are so similar. Whatever Carl's doing in either recovery or treatment or whatever he's finding is giving him this kind of boost to say these things. And when people are in recovery and treatment, they often say these things to other people because they kind of want to fix the other people around them.
Well, yes, there's a fixing thing, but there's also, I think, for anyone in recovery, but anyone when you just get to a place where I think your bullshit meter, when you're an addict, you're bullshitting yourself, you're bullshitting others.
Yeah,
you're kind of and once you start to get sober and you're just done with the bullshit. And I think they see this with Luke and they just don't want to.
Do you think it's also about he's still emotional and he wants to feel something from the death of his brother, and he wants to feel something and direct those emotions somewhere else besides just inside of him?
For sure. Remember he had the conversation with his mom earlier and she said she's really angry right now?
Yeah.
Carl's angry too.
Yeah.
And
so
he wants
where this
to
is
direct
coming
his
from.
anger that sounds like a simplification. It's just that. I think it's all the things we just said.
Yeah. I agree.
And so, because also, yes, it's anger, but I think also with his brother dying and Carl trying to get sober, he wants his friends that he cares about, meaning these women, treated fairly. And they kind of hint on this. Carl is into Ciara.
Yep.
He totally wants to date her. So he also, too, is feeling like you're treating someone that I like shit.
Yeah. It's like a powder keg.
Yes, but I think the powder keg, the thing that lights the spark, is the anger of his brother's death. That's even a blind pig finds an acorn.
So there, Carl and Kyle. What?
Are we going to talk about it now? I don't know. The fight.
Yeah. Fight.
Let me get my lube.
So, anyway, don't fetishize straight men fighting.
Yeah, because you didn't.
So Carl is basically talking with Kyle about how he's treating women in the house. And he's like, the worst thing is he never owns his shit. He never talks about how he runs game on girls, and he's always like fake humble. I don't know what you're talking about. Blah, 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 blah. And so Luke comes up and he's like, what you guys talking about? He's like, I'm talking about you. And I'm like,
and that was hot. That was hot. Carl just basically says, you just don't own your real truth.
Yeah.
Just say you ran game on that girl and it didn't work out. And Luke's like, what are you talking about?
And so he's like, which girl? And I was like, exactly. When
you
don't know which
exactly.
one. So
and Kyle is standing there, y'all, just slack jaw, just
and he's
shocked.
He's super wasted too. So,
but them cutting back to Kyle, just going back and forth, made me laugh so much.
But honestly, he's ready for a fight too, because they haven't had a full blown thing in this, and so it was all this.
And
like
Kyle's that drunk guy,
yeah, this emotion running high, and so they're all yelling. He's like, "You never." Kyle's like, "You don't do this," Kyle takes over Carl's argument to Luke and starts screaming. Because
Carl does call him a jackass. Carl says, come on, jackass. And Luke is like, bro, don't talk to me like that.
That's when someone says, don't talk to me like that, that's when they're going to fight, y'all. That's when there's someone in that in the high school fights that would go, fight, 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 fight. And that was usually me.
And Kyle, yeah, it's true. That's true. And Kyle even brings up, he says, why are you sending he says girls, but why are you sending these women texts late night that are just your friends? I've seen you lead girls on. And then Kyle comes to the root of it. And because we've said this in prior episodes, he said, you do this because it makes you feel powerful.
Powerful over these women. Yeah.
It was truth.
Anyway, Luke leaves the house after the shouting match, and Amanda's just trying to grab onto his shorts because she's just trying to keep the house together, trying to keep the flames from immolating them all. And Luke's leaves
outside with producers. Everybody's going to bed.
Yeah. And
I think Luke gets himself riled up.
Or the producers do. And try to act like they didn't.
Whoever does.
One of my thoughts.
I'm okay with it. Luke comes back in the house.
Let's fucking go! Let's fucking go!
And he is screaming. And then, y'all, one of the hottest moments of reality TV happened in front of my eyes when Carl jumps out of his bed in his fucking underwear to fucking fight fully clothed Luke.
Ooh. We're going to see more of it next week. I do want to stop fetishizing men fighting. I just don't think it's healthy. Obviously, that's not going to work for you. So you're just one of those typical gay guys who just wants to watch men beating the shit out of each other.
Fuck my ass. Fuck my ass.
Sorry for ruining Bali High again.
Fuck my ass.
Did you notice when Luke? It was like Kyle said something and screamed something, and Luke went, "You know what? I don't like you." It was the weirdest thing to say.
It was weird.
I don't like you.
It was very weird. Yeah.
I think that's the episode for me.
That's so juvenile. Yes, this is the episode, y'all. That's it. That's it.
That's it.
So for once, I'm excited to watch next week's episode. Haven't said that yet.
I want to see what happens. This is
and I'm gonna be with you. I don't know if I'll watch it with you together. Well, I'm leaving on Friday.
That's my moving day, so we'll see.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna do that, y'all. Okay. You can go to realitygazepodcast.com. Y'all know the dealio. Come at us on Cameo. Although I think Poodle should pause for this week.
I'm getting caught up today. I'm still really behind.
So y'all, you come at us on our podcast, our podcast website. You can come at us on Cameo, Twitter, Reality Gaze Pod, Instagram, Reality Gaze Podcast. Be sure to leave a 5-star review if you appreciate this show. We really appreciate it. We love you, queens. Y'all sent us so many notes lately of just how, the show and talking about trash TV is getting you through.
And we appreciate all of those.
So
yeah. Because especially when I'm going through my move and I'm in my feelings, it's good to read that.
It does. It makes us feel better. We're happy that we can be a source of joy for you. Y'all, so go out there and get your joy today. We don't have a sign-off for this show yet, do we?
Who's Tracy? Still my favorite.
That's it. That's it from now on.